And it is time for our weekly TNT. I missed you guys last week. Conference was pretty great. I don't know how many of you today were able to participate in that, but there were some great speakers available, and not the same as being in person. But of course, they did announce in person for Vegas next year in June. So put that on your calendar. There's just so much more you get in an in-person conference than virtual. We try our best to do what we can with what we have, but I think their Vegas one will be very well received. All right, so today you have Carol and I. Bill is in a location that cannot be disclosed. He's at a location where the internet is not so great. And so he asked for me to run the questions today, so I will. And while we're getting ready, if you already know you have questions, then raise your hand and we will take them in order. It's always helpful if you tell us your name, your state that you're from, because many of your questions are state specific, so that's very helpful. And also if you would just get right to your question so that we can answer as many questions from people as possible. I'm going to pull out my notepad because I like to write down some things, important points. All right, let's see. And we're going to get right into it. And Lisa, boy, you are quick. So I'm going to ask you to unmute and lower your hand.
I think it's important to be an action taker.
I guess so, because you are just right up there at the top, Lisa. So what's on your mind today?
Okay, so two things. One, when I took the Notary to Pro certification, I got this, and I was asked on one of my places I was signing up for if I had a TRID certification. This says TRID training has been included in the course. What is the difference between TRID training, that's really hard to say, and being certified?
Okay, I'll answer that.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, when we first did it, there was no TRID. TRID is the closing disclosure, and that all came out later on. But I knew that it would be a good thing for us to add to the training, so we redid the whole thing, the whole course, to make sure that we added TRID, and it is on your certificate that you are certified in TRID.
Okay.
So anybody that's requiring it, you just show them your certificate. They know, companies out there know us.
So this when I downloaded it in to prove that it wouldn't take this paper, just because maybe it's the paper and not, I don't know, it wouldn't take it for some reason. Like it said that either maybe it was too big or there was some reason why it wouldn't. I'll look into that then. I just wanted to see if I was
please do, because
certified.
We're completely redoing we're updating and new website and the whole thing.
Okay.
We're working really hard on that. I want to include everything. So
great. So that was my first question. Let me make this as brief as possible for my second. I got a phone call from a husband who needed his wife. They were in care centers. And I know Laura does a lot of this. I don't know if you do this, Carol, but whoever wants to jump in to answer. I asked him if she was clear and able to sign, and he said yes. It was a durable power of attorney from an investment company. So my husband is my business partner, and when he has a day off, he goes with me. So we went together. We went into the care center. She had dementia. But she was fairly clear, but I still don't know where that line is. I felt like she made a couple jokes that were actually high level. So I felt like she was clear enough. And I said, do you understand what you're signing? She said, yes. At first she said no. And I said, what you're signing is that you are giving your husband permission to have, he can sign for you and get this money. And she says, oh yeah, he takes care of all the money. Is that acceptable as far as the law with someone with dementia?
Well, I'll answer that and then Laura can jump in. Did you watch the video that I have of Legally Capable in the graduate
Yes.
website?
Yes.
So that gives you a pretty good indication as to how far you have to go. Because even though they may have dementia, if they can truly answer the questions and you're not concerned about it, you don't get that funny feeling in your gut. But if you get that funny feeling in your gut, you can't, don't take a chance, because
That was my question. I'm
yeah,
super intuitive, and I kind of went to the higher level thinking like, okay, so no children, just the husband, accounts in her name. What's the higher good? Does this go to the state of California, or does this go to her husband, who has been married for 50, 60 years to her?
Yeah, I had a situation where a church called me to go do a power of attorney for someone who was literally dying of cancer. It was a very sad situation. And I could not satisfy myself with her condition and the way that she was, that I could notarize it. And I walked away from that signing to sitting there 3 hours, hoping that she was going to be responding the way I needed her to. And what actually happened was that I couldn't. I was there 3 hours. I left. I got a call the next day. The reason that they said that they needed that power of attorney was so that the husband would be able to eat. He had no money, no access to the funds. It was all in her name. And I left that night feeling just horrible. And then they called me the next day and said she had passed out. And of course, the power of attorney wouldn't do any good because they have to be alive. But I felt so bad about it. And then I got to thinking, and I realized, first of all, why was he not on it? And didn't have access to any of the money. And who knows, maybe they were divorced. Maybe they were going through a divorce. Maybe
True.
she didn't trust him and wanted to make sure that her children got the money. So
See, in this case, that wasn't the situation. So I felt okay about it. And the fact that she did have some conversation with me, but I did believe she was in and out. So if I was going to bet the life of someone I care about on it, I wouldn't. So I guess I wasn't sure, but so what I want to ask about that is, and I didn't know enough. I'd never done it. I'm a new notary. I went over, this was just for the investment account. Maybe Kathy can mute. I have ADD and it's distracting to me.
Everybody should be muted.
Yeah,
right now.
Sorry about that. I get so easily distracted.
Sometimes the software unmutes you and you don't even know it.
Ooh,
So
that's scary.
check that you're muted.
Okay, so when I got there, suddenly on this, there needed to be 2 witnesses. Now the witness on the form just said 2 witnesses seeing her sign. So they did. I had them sign my journal because they were there and part of this. But then I go back and I'm reading the primer for my state, and it says that they cannot be part of if they're living in the healthcare facility, they cannot. They both live there in a room. It's a really nice, big, giant facility. That the healthcare people that were employees of that place cannot sign. So now what? What do I do now?
So did I hear, I want to make sure, first of all, that you're clear, because a healthcare, a care facility can mean many things, and the law is very specific. It doesn't mean many things. It's
Right.
very specific that it has to be skilled nursing. This is state of California, skilled nursing, and only the healthcare directive and nothing else. So that's the first thing I want to confirm with you, that it was a healthcare directive and you were in a skilled.
Exactly. It wasn't. It was an investment.
That rule doesn't apply.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure because
for the ombudsman. Now let me just take that further. If they're in an assisted living facility, they're not healthcare workers, right? They're not under that definition as they would be in a hospital or in a skilled nursing or in a specialty long-term care hospital. Those are healthcare workers. And so they cannot be witnesses on a healthcare directive.
Well, so what I read in that primer, which thank you for recommending me to get that, because it's been super informative,
Mhm.
is that I understood that. So if they're in a hospital setting, you need the ombudsman to
Not
be
hospital, skilled nursing.
skilled nursing.
That's
Okay.
when you need an ombudsman.
Okay. And so when the I don't think she was a nurse. I think she was a care worker, like maybe a certified nurse assistant or something like that. She signed as a witness for this, but it wasn't a healthcare. That's what I felt like. Whew,
It's not, that only applies to a healthcare directive.
okay. So then I think I'm good. Thank you. I think that's everything I need to know. I was
All right.
scared when I got back. I was like, oh no.
So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Take my hand down.
Jack, is your hand up?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right, then let's take care of you.
All right. So I had a question. Is more kind of a scenario that I was kind of wondering how you guys would recommend navigating. So in the case of you are in a signing or you're heading to a signing right now, and then you get contacted for a signing maybe you did the day before, and they said, hey, we caught a mistake. We need you to go and fix that. You know, right away, right? We're trained to, you know, try to fix that, you know, immediately. But I guess my question is, in that scenario, how would you navigate trying to fix that error with also the fact that you're either at a signing already, like currently, or you're, you know, heading to a signing that's happening in the next 15 minutes, for example? Like how would you recommend someone navigate through trying to deal with both having a current signing and also needing to fix a mistake in a previous signing?
So I just need clarification. They just said, I need you to fix something that you did before or was done by a different notary?
No, so it's something that we did before. So I submitted something, sent docs the day before, and then it's, you know, today is what, Tuesday. So I submitted docs yesterday. They got there today. I'm heading to a 12 o'clock appointment right now.
A different appointment.
Yes, ma'am, a different appointment.
Okay, and they want you to go take care of that. All right, so
Correct.
you're gonna go take care of that as soon as you can. When you're done with that appointment, you'll go over and take care of the correction.
Okay, so it's
I
basically
wouldn't
just like,
cancel my current obligation, but I would make time for it as soon as I could. I wouldn't take
Right.
on new work. I
Gotcha.
would fix that first.
Okay, got it.
And then I
got
follow
it.
my own state rules regarding what I can fix, or if I have to
Right.
re-notarize it.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. And so then at that point, it's really just communication to the party that you're fixing, saying, hey, I have an appointment right now. As soon as it gets done, or as soon as I have availability, I will go get it fixed. I should be free around 2 p.m. let's say, to go get it done. Right. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
And if it causes you to not be able to get it out to them overnight, you could offer to scan it before you send it overnight, so they would have the correction.
Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Extra.
Cool. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to know. I haven't been in that situation yet, but I wanted to be prepared for it. So thank
Carol,
you.
do you have anything to add to that?
No, just the thing I say all of the time, it's not the mistakes that you make, it's how you accept it graciously and you get up off your butt and you go fix it as soon as you can. Doesn't mean, you know, canceling an appointment, you know, that takes
Right.
priority, but get it done when you can. And as long as you show that to them, that company will be a loyal fan of yours, I promise.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jack.
Thank
All
you.
right, Randy.
Hi, I'm Randy. I'm from Washington. Laura, I just want to say you and Bill, if Bill can hear me, did awesome jobs on all the presentations that you guys did at the conference.
Thank
And
you.
my question is related to the conference.
Mhm.
Is, I don't know how many other the workshops you guys saw, but is that kind of the general tone and feedback and information that's provided, or is it maybe kind of a little bit of an off year for presentations because it wasn't in person?
No, I'm sorry, Randy, I don't get what you're asking me.
I was just kind of disappointed in some of the information that was presented. A lot of the presenters are giving most of the information that they've seen, I think, for free on YouTube or on TNT calls, those types of things. When it's in person, are there more workshops and are there other topics that are generally covered?
Okay, so there are more, Yeah, because it's 2.5 days. So there might be some more workshops. And in terms of the topics, of course, it's a good idea to respond to the NNA to say, hey, I attended the conference. Here are some things that weren't covered that I would really like to have covered, or covered in more deep detail beyond a YouTube that the speaker may have done before. You can give them that feedback. It's all about finding speakers and finding topics and finding people experienced enough to speak at a deeper level than what they do on a YouTube. On YouTube, it's easy to get on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and talk at a top level. It takes a lot more experience and knowledge to put on a good workshop or presentation so people get new information. But it is, I will say, Randy, that you will see many of those kinds of presentations, maybe different presenter, maybe different level. And there may be some additional new ones if people throw into, hey, I'd love to talk about this topic. I have an idea for a brand new topic that wasn't presented at the NNA. As a matter of fact, every year that I've done presentations, and that's 15 years, they've all been new topics that I wrote from scratch. So we'll see what we get. They'll start, you won't know what kind of topics they're going to be for another few months still, probably until the fall, because they have to recruit presenters.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, let's see what we got here. Henry Felder. Are you with us, Henry?
Can you hear me, Laura?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, Henry from New York. How you doing? Laura and Carol, how you doing? I got a question to ask you. I had an attorney call me today about a closing that I have for tomorrow. She claims that one of the signers will have a quitclaim deed because her and her husband will be getting divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I don't think I can sign that quitclaim deed because the signing service would have to give me direction on a quitclaim deed. I'm pretty sure the signing service would actually send the quitclaim deed to me. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, they would send it to you, but I don't know what kind of instruction you're looking for. There's going to be a notarial certificate with the quitclaim deed, and your job is to verify the identity of the signers that are going to be signing it and filling out your certificate. So what other instruction do you think you're looking for?
Okay, no, just that the attorney threw me off because signing service didn't even tell me that this couple was actually getting a divorce. So I looked on the documents and I saw both names still on the documents. So I emailed the signing service to reach out to the lender and ask them what's the story with this. And part two of that is if one of the signers for the quitclaim deed is in another state, how do I verify that person actually, the first person actually had that quitclaim deed notarized?
So you're only responsible for the person in front of you. And that means another notary is going to take care of the person either after you, or they did it before you, or it's being done concurrently with a copy of the deed. Any one of those three ways, you're only responsible for the person who's in front of you.
Okay, so I don't need any kind of supporting documents or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
you're just going to take the document, identify your signer, perform the notarization, and then forward the document wherever you're instructed.
Okay.
I want to add something too to Henry, if I may, and to anybody else who's fairly new. Anytime that you're working with through a title company, which I'm sure that's who's initiated this, or the attorney, they're validating those documents. Like if you have something that has a power of attorney, you don't have to worry about whether it's valid or not. if it's coming from a legal source like title company, they've already validated that. You don't have to worry about it. All you need to do is perform the notarization.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Lindsay, and I'm calling from Banks RNFA
Wow.
Services. Am I speaking
Geraldine,
to
let me see how to
Mr.
mute her.
William
Geraldine.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm calling because Alexander Bank is going to be the
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out
RNFA
how to mute her.
for the surgical procedure on 6/28. Okay, now, Dr. Giesler's office
Cannot
has
find
informed
her.
us that you are a self-paying
I don't know
patient
what her name
due
is
to the
on
fact that
the,
Medicare does
on
not
the
allow
screen.
surgical first
Let
assist
me
to
just
become
see who's
in-network
missing.
providers.
Sounds like it might
Do
be.
you
a-
remember receiving the bank's billing notification form from
Gosh
them?
darn.
Okay, and have you completed that form and
Anybody
sent it
else
back
see?
to us?
Everybody else has a mic crossed through it.
Laura,
Looks like
she's
there's
0000.
Oh, she's the 0000. Thank you. Let me see if I can mute her. There. Thank you. Oh my goodness. So let's,
Laura, can I ask a question?
yes.
Can I say something?
I'm sorry. Who are you that is asking me?
Julie? Lang,
Oh,
right here.
Julie. But
Yes.
Julie, no, I'm sorry. We have to raise hands.
I don't have a hand, but it has to do with your conversation with the gentleman that's speaking.
Okay. All right, Julie, what do you want to say?
Well, since he's doing a separate one, he has to make sure on his acknowledgement or his jurat that he crosses out if the other person's name is there. And that
Okay.
he can either add to or take away from.
Okay. Good tip. You
Okay,
heard that?
was Carol going to give me her opinion, and then
Carol?
that voice that came in?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just saying that anytime that you have something like this, that's not just people walking into your office or whatever, if it's coming from a title company or an attorney, you don't have to worry about the validity of the document, like if it's a power of attorney or you know, anything, a will, anything like that. It's been validated by the title company, so you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is just notarize it. Checking doing our basic job, which is
Right.
what we really do, which is to properly identify people who appear before us.
Right.
And we need to keep that in mind. There's so much stuff that goes into our head, especially as loan signing agents, that we need to remember that the basic job we do is identification.
Yeah,
We
but
don't always,
they caught me off guard, and I'm glad they caught me off guard, because when I looked at the documents, both names are on the mortgage, the notice of right to cancel. So, you know, I'm glad I was able to get that information and send it to the signing service.
And on a quick claim deed, Henry, oftentimes you're going to see two names as the grantors and one name as the grantee. So in other words, the two of them have agreed to put the property into one of their names. So you're oftentimes going to see two names going out and one name coming on.
Thanks.
thanks, Henry. All right, Mary. Mary,
Hello.
hi, oops, hold on, Mary, sorry. Try again.
How's that?
Better, Mary, go ahead.
Welcome from Florida. I'm not going to show my face today. Renewal commission. I'm so excited. I renewed my commission, second commission. It hasn't expired yet, but I was concerned about any delays that I might encounter. So do I just wait until the expiration of my initial commission before I start using
Right.
the second one?
Yeah, run out your first commission to the last day and then start your new commission on the next day.
Thanks for your help. I appreciate it.
You're
Thanks for being
welcome,
here,
Mary.
both of you.
You're welcome. All right, Denise.
Greetings, greetings. How's
Hi,
it?
Denise.
I'm calling from New York. My question is, and I'm sorry if you touched on this before, but so in my New York notary primer, it says, this is regarding identification of witness. And maybe I'm just not interpreting it correctly. Every credible identifying witness must personally know the document signer as well as the notary.
Mhm.
So, I mean, in what scenario, I mean, I know there might be one or two, but in most cases, the notary doesn't know the witness. So how do
Right.
I interpret that?
Does your state allow two witnesses?
I don't believe New York does. Denise,
Yes,
it's saying that you have one credible witness. And in the scenario of one credible witness, either you know the witness or you don't. And if you don't, you're not the right notary for them. Do you, in your law, do they allow for a second credible witness that you don't know? Not very many states do that.
yeah, that I am not certain
Yeah,
about.
I'm pretty sure New York doesn't. I believe they only allow for one and you have to know them. Some states say it this way: one credible witness known to the signer and the notary or identified through satisfactory evidence. And if it doesn't say that, then you will probably hardly ever use a credible witness unless you happen to know the signer, and then you'd have friends in common.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go on to Kathy.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Laura. I have a question about my stamp. I'm hoping your experience can help me. My stamp is sort of bleeding through the paper. It doesn't matter what. The person I bought it from told me I'm pressing hard, but even when I press lower left, it still seeps through. Although it's been recording with no issues, it's a PSI brand. I just found out because I have to find, it's called a pre-ink stamp, and it apparently uses oil-based. Is that the reason that it's doing that, or how do I fix this problem? And I have two of them. I have a mini one too. They both do the exact same thing.
So I can answer one of your questions, which is, well, let me answer the one that is, I don't know why it's doing it. I don't make stamps myself, so I really don't know that answer. And maybe Carol will. The thing is that if it's doing that and there is no way to fix it, I go back to who I bought it from and say, this is not acceptable.
Well, I went back and he said it's over. He said it's over 30 days. He cannot do anything about it. When I went back to him, it was like 40 days, and he said there is nothing he can do unless if I get another certificate and order a whole new one.
So
he's claiming he's not close to me, so he's claiming I'm not stamping it correctly. But I have been stamping away 3 books with the same stamp, so I haven't refilled the ink. So it's gotten to the point that the ink is not as strong either.
Is the stamp the kind that you add the little liquid ink to it, or is it a tray that is replaceable?
It has a tray.
So is it meant for the tray to be replaced rather than filling ink in it? Because that can create a problem.
No, you fill ink in it.
You do fill ink in it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's happening. I don't agree with the guy who said he can't do anything. He just made up his own policy that says, I'm not going to do anything for you. The NNA, if they have that issue, and they have had that issue, they will warranty it for the entire commission till the end, even if it's in its last year, and they will either fix it or replace it. And yes, you may need another certificate of authorization if they can't fix it and they completely have to make a new stamp. That's free, and then the NNA will replace it free, but you didn't buy it from them, so they've got their own policy.
It's not, and I don't want to be without a stamp. So my apologies. When I request that, do I just write a handwritten letter that I need a certificate for another stamp? Is that how I word it?
Yeah, you just write to the Secretary of State. I want to purchase another stamp. I need a certificate of authorization. Those words, certificate of authorization, must be in your letter. send it off
Got it.
to the Secretary of State. And once they receive it, they have 5 working days to get it turned back around. So it'll take a couple weeks for you to get it. But Carol,
put
do
it-
you know why her stamp is doing that?
No, I have no idea, but I put a review on Yelp for his business.
Yeah, 40 days and this is happening. I don't think he's got very good customer service.
I became commissioned like March 25th, and I noticed that right away and mentioned it, but then he said that it's now too late to do that.
Well, it's only too late because he decided.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right,
Yelp,
right.
Yelp, Yelp, Yelp.
Yelp. Review.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, Kathy?
Thank you very much.
All
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All right. Larry?
Hi,
There you are.
I'm in California. So first I want to say, Laura, I'm looking forward to the training Saturday. And it's going to help me
Yeah,
out.
I'm looking forward too.
And that kind of ties into the question I have, but only kind of, in that I have my name as a domain. And so I was thinking of putting up a website about my loan signing service, but I actually can't think of what to say other than, I mean, I've been a loan signing agent for about 2 years. I haven't done very much general notary work at all. So I guess my question is, do you know of a place where I could go look at other sort of notary loan signing agent websites, get some ideas on what should be there, or is there like a standard of what should be on, like some basics that should be on? I mean, I can't think of what to say other than, I commission, I've got all of my documentation together. I'm doing loan signings for about 2 years, but I don't quite know what else to say.
So know that your website is not your resume. It's not a place to put what your experience is and that you've only been doing it for 2 years. You don't need to be advertising that, the fact that you do it. So all the different types of work that you may want to draw your way, this is a magnet for people to come to you. And why did they get there? Because they're looking for a notary to do a certain kind of document or a certain kind of service. And that's why they're coming to you. One of the things, there isn't like a place, Notaries R Us, where you can go look at websites and choose. But you certainly can look at you can Google yourself, right? Google notary websites and look and see what notaries are doing. You can look at mine at yourservicemobilenotary.com. And one of the things that I think is important when you're building a website is that your homepage is only thinking of your client. Why are they there? What do they want to know? They don't care about your awards. They don't care that about who certified you what, that all the initials, all the certifications we carry are really internal to our industry. And the public doesn't know any of that. They want to know information about why they came there. So for instance, if you were a restaurant, I probably came there to check the menu and the hours, right? That's what I want to know first. I don't need to know your story. I don't need to know that stuff. If I want to know that stuff, I could go to the about page and I could look more about Larry and find out about your story and how you got here. What I want to know is, maybe I want to know, what is this process called notarization? Maybe I want to know, what kinds of documents do you notarize? Maybe I want to know, what hours are you open, right? These are things I want to know as a customer coming to you. If you're also using that to attract title companies, then yes, you would want to make sure you've included that kind of work so that they find you as well. That's the first thing. The second thing that I think is important is to make sure that you build in that SEO so that when people search, the things you put in your website will bring you up for them in their searches. Now, I'm not a tech person, so even though I have 2 different websites and I love my websites, I don't know how to build them because that's not in my wheelhouse. I'm a notary, not a website designer, but I do know about what attracts people to a website. And I do know what people want to know when they get to the website. And if you look at mine, you'll see I have questions on the bottom that can be answered, right, answered for them, and it takes them right to that answer. Like, what are the IDs that I need to have? What if I don't have an ID? How much does it cost, right? And it can take them to different parts of my website with that detail. So you might want to look at that. Carol, what would you like to add?
I can give him a site. My daughter does websites for loan signing agents. And so you could see samples. It's everythingelsmarketing.com.
All right, and somebody asked me to repeat my websites. My first one is coachmelora.com, and that website is not to get notary work. That website is for coaching and training. My do the work website is called atyourservicemobilenotary.com. So if that's what you're looking at building, then feel free to take a look at mine.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome, Larry. All right, let's go to Kristen. I saw you.
So ladies, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you. I'm looking to see where you moved. Oh, you're next to me. Okay.
I'm next to you. I'm in California.
I know.
So I have a question for you and for Carol. So for you, Laura, my question is regarding, I watched your trusts and estates and all that stuff, and I did a Google search about the companies, and I twice spent quite a bit of time digging around trying to figure out who does these in-person trainings, or try to get people in the door, and it's just impossible. I can't find anybody. Is it just stopped?
Well, it did stop during the pandemic because they couldn't go into restaurants and host these meetings anymore. I'm sure they're going to be restarting, but all of that in-person stuff did stop. And during the pandemic, I didn't get any work from that source, but I did get work from attorneys directly. I did get work from consumers directly. So, I mean, they're not my only source.
Right.
And now it's just starting. I've only gotten 2 from that in-person source. I've only had 2. And that was just in the last 30 days.
And the follow-up thing is our phone call together. That's kind of the path I think I want to take, because I've looked at all the other ones with jail and all this stuff, that this is kind of where I want to start.
Okay.
So is that maybe a conversation, a 15-minute conversation, and where I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around
Book a quick call with me, and I'm happy to talk about trust work and how you might approach that.
Okay, perfect. And then
you have one for Carol?
Yes, Carol. Or both of you, doesn't matter. But I've been doing some loan signings now and getting the notifications, and I'll give a little context here so you guys know what I'm talking about. You probably have all heard that you need to sign up with 100 companies, right? So I signed up with a handful because I have a full-time job and I didn't want to get inundated. So I'm getting enough notifications. Great. Except I'm not getting a lot of them. And then when I find out that I am signed up with these companies, they say, oh, I go through SnapDocs, but I'm already signed up with them. So I feel like I'm following up with all these people that I don't need to be there, that I'm already signed up with. I feel like I'm missing something. How do I determine who I really need to go after? Because I'm already signed up with most of these people.
Carol?
Well, I'm not sure. You're not a graduate of ours, right? Kristen, are you a graduate of ours?
No, Bill. I mean, not graduate, but I went through his program.
Oh, okay. Because we have a list that we give our graduates, which is about 125 companies. The big thing about that is that they're 4- and 5-star companies, and that I only have that list because these are companies I worked with for 14 years. And so if you don't have access to that list, you can make your own. Seriously, go to Notary Rotary, go to Signing Central, and look for the highest rating companies. And the best thing to do is to just reach out, whatever certification you have, let them know if you're NNA certified, and just ask to be added to their database. Follow up. Just be kind of, my husband calls me a junkyard dog, because when I get latched onto something, I'm going to stick to it until something happens. And be that person, but be friendly and nice. Maybe you can make a connection when you call. If you talk to Sally the first time and give her your information and ask to be put on their database, call back a few days later, make sure you got on there, get to know, just try to build relationships with them. That's the best thing to do. And really go after the highest rating, read the comments. There's companies you don't want to work with. Don't work with micromanaging companies. Don't work with all companies.
I
Set your
actually
standards
signed up
high.
with Notary reviews, and so I do have a similar list.
That was my
probably.
That
suggestion.
was Carrie's, yeah,
That's
Carrie's.
Carrie's site. And I
Mhm.
think,
Yeah.
and she updates that every 30 days. So it's very up to date on it. And I think that you just have to work through it. Sometimes there's just no like, give me the answer and I can do that. It does take a little trial and error, a little bit of experimentation, because things are always changing for us.
Right.
And so there just really isn't a shortcut.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes they're giving me the brush off, like just, go through SnapDocs, so I guess,
Well,
like
some
you said,
do. Some
yeah.
do, and you can go through SnapDocs already if you're with SnapDocs and get the orders that way. If you want to go that way as well. It doesn't mean you can't keep checking, and some of them, not all of them are going to say I use SnapDocs. I only use SnapDocs. You just
True.
haven't hit enough. You just said right up front that you only did a handful. So you need to do more.
Yes,
We
I
have
do.
we have the same problem with our list. There's companies that have gone to SnapDocs, and I'm not happy with SnapDocs at all.
But, that's how it is. We can't do anything about that. So what we can do, what can I do? I can get another list and I can work the list. Every week, I pick up another 5 or 10, whatever I have time for, because you work. And I make those calls and I strike the ones off the list that aren't going to be the ones for me. And I just keep moving forward.
Okay. I think I intuitively knew that, but I just needed to hear it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, Matthew.
Unmute. Okay, there I am. Can you hear me
Hey,
now?
all right, I see you and hear you.
All right. I had a question about the per diem. I always have trouble explaining it to them as far as when you're laughing. Go ahead.
No, I'm smiling because I'm thinking Carol's going to answer this.
I'm
Did you
gonna have
video
to.
your answer yet?
No, I get this all the time, so I guess I'm the official per diem person.
Yes, but before I have you answer, let's let Matthew finish his question because maybe he has a twist on it.
Oh, okay.
No twisting. No
No
twist.
twist, you just want to
You
find out
just want
about
to know
that
how to
document?
explain it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I apologize, my phone's ringing. Okay, oh shoot. Okay, what that is it's very easy to explain. Basically, if from the date of funding to the date of recording, people are charged interest on the loan, on their new loan. So in that instance with that document, oh darn it, hold on a minute, hang on.
Go ahead.
Okay, they did. Anyway, let's say that they have a choice. They can fund the loan on Friday and like record on Monday or Tuesday, or they can wait until Monday to fund, or the first day after a holiday or the weekend, and fund and close like a day later. They're going to be paying interest if they decide to close it on a Friday or a Thursday. They're going to be paying interest for 3, maybe 4 days, which could be a couple $300. Or they can wait until the beginning of the following week, where there might be only 1 or 2 days that they're going to be paying interest on. So that's what that is. It's real basic. Fund a little bit earlier, they pay more money, wait a couple of days, and pay less money. And sometimes it could be, a substantial amount of money depending on the amount of the loan. So basically that's it. We can fund it today. They can fund it today or tomorrow, and you're going to pay interest through the weekend and maybe a couple days beyond that, or if you want to just wait. So that's what it is.
Okay, I also had another question about the name affidavit. When they have names that aren't theirs, should they cross those out?
Usually what they want you to do is put a line through them, have them initial it, say never used.
Never used? I was told NKA.
I've always had them write it down, not, I just said never use. Whatever directions they give you. All companies are different. But I've always had them write it out, never used.
Okay, and one
No
last
doubt
question.
about what they're saying there.
One last question very quickly. If I have a lot of extra time, can I fill out my notary forms in advance before I go to their house? So they're already filled out, all I have to do is stamp?
The only thing that you have to do in front of them is sign it and stamp it. The rest of the
Sign and
stuff you
stamp.
can fill out. Make sure that you have, get some idea from them before you do that as to their identification. You know, you don't want to put their names in and then get there and find out that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Okay, I appreciate the information. Thank you very much.
you're welcome. That's a good looking beard, by the way. I lost sound.
I think we lost Laura.
Lisa Henderson.
There you go. We got you now.
Okay, yeah, I muted. My dogs were barking.
Oh,
Hi, Laura and Carol.
Uh.
I am from Missouri. I'm really new at this. And so I just had a couple of questions. I worked in a law firm for several years, well over 15 years. And I have knowledge of different wills and trusts and powers of attorneys. But in this case, I was kind of wondering do you keep those forms on hand, or are they supposed to bring them to you and what they need to be, say for instance, a power of attorney? Is that some documents that you may keep on hand? One maybe for, the health that you talked about earlier, maybe just for school purposes or whatever, but do you keep any on hand to, or fillable, or, or at your fingertips, or how do you usually handle that?
So we do not provide forms. That's the unauthorized practice of law. They must have their own form. Unless you're a paralegal who, then you have a different certification and you can prepare documents, then that's one thing. Or if you're an attorney, that's another thing. But if you are not those, you are only a notary, then you are not, even if you have training on what they look like and how to fill them out and all of that, it is not your place ever to be recommending or providing the forms.
Okay.
But the certificates we can have. The notary certificates.
Yeah.
Right.
you always carry lots of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So that was my question. Thank you guys so very much.
You are welcome, Lisa. Next one is it Yesenia? Yeah, Yesenia. Come on down. Where are you?
Good afternoon.
There you are.
Buenas tardes. I'm from California, Solano County, so I'm near Laura. Well, driving distance without having to stay at a hotel. That's what I mean. So,
Well, Yesenia, what can we do for you today?
so my question is, it was really for the three of you, but only two of you are here. I will ask it. So I've recently been blessed. An escrow officer actually sent me the application from Fidelity so I can be escrow direct. And in the application, on the 46-page application, there is a reference of 1, 2, and 3. What type of reference do they mean? Do they mean title companies? Do they mean fellow notaries?
I believe it's business associates, so it doesn't have to be a title company, but they're business references. So it wouldn't be family. It would be somebody who could speak to your how you perform, how you perform your job and how you show up to what you do, and would they work with you? And Carol, do you want to? add
Yeah,
to that?
any kind of business arrangement that you've
Mhm.
had with other people, but most importantly, somebody who's hiring you, any kind of loan signing company, signing service,
Mhm.
title company, any experience that
Okay,
you've
so
had.
even
with
if
them.
I've worked with a lawyer in the past,
Absolutely. Oh, sure.
okay,
Yeah, the problem with doing fellow loan signing agents is that they don't know anything about your work. They couldn't speak to any of that. They could say,
Okay.
hey, she's a nice girl. She does what I do, but they really couldn't speak to anything that would be important to a hiring company.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Phil, you've been
Congratulations.
hanging out.
I have been. It's always nice to
Well,
hang out with.
At least, Phil, I have to say, at least I'm glad to see that you have clothes on. I just saw a towel on your neck when you started.
Yeah, I was, but I've gotten home now, so I'm back.
Okay.
But one, I miss not seeing Bill, so tell Bill miss him. Two, there was somebody who asked a question about the stamp leaking thing, and obviously that was tailor-made for call her attorney. Just understand that's the typical stuff that we deal with all the time. And the third question is, Laura, all of a sudden I got a bunch of invites on Clubhouse. So if somebody needs invites for Clubhouse, I have like 15 out of the blue. So if somebody needs an invite, I will post my number so they can actually, if they'd like. And I know we're speaking today, what time? Is it 3 o'clock?
5 o'clock California time.
California time. Okay, good. I always
on Clubhouse.
And that's basically all I got. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Phil. And yes, for all of you, a notary successful journey. And it's Phil and myself and Sue Hope from Notary Assist, LaShawn Jenkins and Katrina Caldwell. And we pick a different topic. I think this one is I got my commission, I got my stamp. Now what do I do? So that's what we're going to be focused on this particular week. And if you want to join us, first you have to download the app on your phone, and it can be iPhone or Android. Download the Clubhouse app, and then you can put your phone number in. And then that way it's in there, and then you could tell Phil or myself, I have about 10 invites as well that I can give out. And then we can find your number and we can push the invite button, and then it'll send you the link. So that's the process. First you have to download it on your phone. Okay. All right, Dawn. Oh, I'm sorry. Who wanted to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, one of my students sent me an invitation to a Clubhouse. I have no idea what it is.
Audio only. So you don't have to do hair or makeup. Okay. I told you to lower your hand. Who did I just do that with? Who was next? Do you know who you are? Because I said.
Hi, it's
Dawn.
Dawn.
There you are.
Hi, sweetie. How are you? How are
I'm
you?
good.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
Dawn Winings from California. Quick question for signature by Mark. I have a repeat client, sweetest man ever. And I've done a few notarizations. I was there last week, and his sight is getting really bad. He's writing upwards and blah, blah, blah. So I informed his daughter that we could do signature by Mark. I'm aware of the process. My question is, if he makes an X, I know I can't do it for him. He needs to sign with the pen. Can you guide him to where the X will start, or does like his daughter or someone else that's in the household need to do that?
Anybody, it can even be you. All you're doing is guiding his hand to where the signature line is. And then once it's there, then you can let go of his hand. And by the way, there are tools for the blind so they can continue to sign. One is the size of a business card with an opening inside of it, where the pen, then it only gives them a 1/2 inch space, and the signature is going to stay within that space. It won't go up. My mom is blind, so that's how I know about that.
Okay. Yeah, a gal that I networked with had told me about that. You can get it on Amazon. I could
Yes.
that. Okay, I'll get that. I just want to be sure that I know we're not allowed to, do anything for them, but if you can direct them, because he can't see.
Sure.
And then again, you just explain, again, you understand what you're signing. So That was my question. I'm all good. Thank you so much.
Thanks for checking in with us, Dawn.
Thanks. Take care, ladies. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is
We
it
used to
Tammy?
have a fellow that we did signings for in Arizona who was a cerebral palsy victim, and we go every year to have him then release money from the trust fund. And he can only sign, he had never signed his name before, not ever, because he had no use below the neck. And I figured out if I put a good pen in his mouth, that we could get a signature by Mark, because we had to notarize things for him.
Mhm.
And from the time he was 18 till he was 23, and every year he'd get a free pen from us, and we'd put it in his mouth and he would sign it, and we'd do the signature by Mark. And
That's good information. Great.
and I miss him to this day. I haven't seen him in all these years, but
I know, favorite part of our jobs is the people. This guy was World War II fighter pilot, fireman, so he's just a love. So thank you, ladies. Have a great week.
thank you, you too.
Bye.
All right. Let's see, Cammie Corbin.
Yes, hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are we today?
We are great, and we're so glad you joined us.
Well, thank you so very much for doing that. I appreciate it. So I have a couple of questions. I know that I've been doing the loan signing, a lot. Anyway, and it seems like there lately has been a couple of new documents, but I want to kind of go over a couple of the old ones and see if I can get some info from you guys on the uniform residential loan. So at the top of page 1, where it says type of credit, you're supposed to initial it if it's joint, right? Sometimes they say 2 initials, 1 initial. So here's my question. If which I've had several of, I have a loan signing where it's obviously it's a husband, wife, or whatever the situation is, and they file joint tax returns. However, the loan is only in one person's name. Do I still have them both initial that, or just
No.
one?
No. If it says joint application, and Laura and I both know this has been a thorn in our little rose bush for years. If it says there, if this is a joint application, then you're going to have them sign at the top. But if there's only one person on the loan, it's not a joint application. But for years, we have had lenders come back to us and say, you didn't have them sign at the top. And I'm like, oh, don't you read your instructions, or don't you understand them? Thank God there's a new 1003 out now. It's doing away with that joint application thing. But no, if you read the instructions, you don't have anybody sign it if there's not a joint application.
Right. So some of them I've had where it is sign at the top, the old one, I guess, but the newer one, they would just want you to initial it. There's no signature at the top.
Right.
And then of course they sign the back. So I'll just keep in mind if they're using the old one or the new one then. And that kind of goes along also with the same question on is it the 4506T or Cs or whatever, where they ask you at the top, if you file a joint, then you have to put in your spouse's name and her social security number or his. And then at the bottom, it's usually just the one person. And then at the bottom, it says signature for both. So if you are adding the woman or the spouse, I should say, into that, then would they both sign it? Or is it, again, it's just okay for one signature since it's just for that one person?
Well, normally if it's 1A and 1B,
1A,
that's the primary. But I don't recall ever having the second party sign unless they're listed in 2A and 2B.
Right.
Okay, on that one. Okay. I figure, signatures are not going to throw it out. I guess it's better to get it than not. So that's kind of how I've been looking at it if they are on there. And then the other one that's been my source of thornness, if you want to call it, is the P Corps. Now, I've been a paralegal for over 30 years, and the last 7 years was in real estate. And I found that the attorney always filled it out because the people are like, I don't know what to fill out on section 1. And we can't tell them, obviously, we're not attorneys. We can't give them legal advice. So some of the, the title companies that I work with, they got that on Snapbox, especially if they go directly, they call me, hey, can you do this? Yeah. Then you go on Snapbox and they got like the 10 boxes you're supposed to check off. And one of them is the P Corps, right? Can't be left blank. What is your guys' suggestion? I mean, usually what I do is I call the title company and just say, look, these people don't know what to do. Make sure they sign it and fill out the best you can as far as their name and stuff on the top. Section 1 and then Section 4, that's just kind of, it's difficult. Do you guys have any suggestions for the P Corp? Or maybe is there some kind of a training that might be for that?
Well, even if we did, we still can't tell them what to do.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. But I would tell you this, it's not a notarized document. I would have them sign it. They do the best they can. And if
Yeah.
they need to, and they've got a copy of that that's in their package that you leave them,
Right.
pull that out and say, look, if you need to X certain boxes or whatever with the title, you can scan that over or fax it over separately after me.
Okay, that's kind of what I've been doing, especially if they're non-critical documents, and I kind of question it. I'll at least have them sign it and explain that to them and write down the real questions for the title. Well, thank you very much, ladies. That answers makes me feel a little bit better.
I'd like to add something that
Sure.
a lot of people out there don't know. It's something that I do train my notaries, my grads. The tax documents, but especially in California, you've got that 563 handbook.
Yeah.
And I mean, the tax stuff and the questions that they ask can be absolutely catastrophic to your signers if they're not filled out with proper information. So when you get those tax forms, if they tell you that they can't answer those things, they don't know, should they guess at, and it has to do with when they purchased the property, how much they pay for it, how many owners, what percentage, all of this.
Right.
I tell people, don't let them guess, because it could cost them tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Capital gains taxes. So what I do is either ask them ahead of time if they have a tax advisor or somebody they can call at the signing to help them answer it, or let them take that document home or those documents home, get somebody to help them fill it in that night, make them responsible for sending it back to escrow, and make sure that those answers that they give are not guesses. I've never had a problem. I always write to the put a note on the papers going back.
Right, for the title companies or in Snapbox or something.
I
like
left the document with them.
Okay.
They need to get the correct answers and they'll send it.
Great. All right, now, ladies, thank you so very much. I appreciate your time today.
And for newer notaries, how would you know those kind of documents? They're seller packages. That's where you're going to see those tax documents.
Yes.
Seller packages.
Yeah, that's true.
So if I'm confirming with a seller package, because I know that up front, then that's my opportunity when I'm confirming the appointment to say there's going to be some documents that might be tax related, and you may want to make sure that you've got a tax professional that can assist you with that. So, okay, it is 1 o'clock. It's actually a couple minutes after, so we are going to stop taking questions at this point. Tell you, thank you for joining us today. We're so glad to have you with us. Bill will be with us and running next week's TNT. So he'll be back. We'll be glad to see him. He did record today, so it will come out in an email later. All right. And in the meantime, you guys have a great day today. Enjoy your day, your signings. I hope it isn't 100 and hell for you. It's going to be hot in California, and it's already pretty hot. I don't know. Did somebody see Bill's post where his car said like 124 degrees? So yeah, your cars get really hot sitting out there in the sun. So be careful when you go to reach to touch your steering wheel, because if it's not a fabric coated, it could burn your hands.
My husband's out riding his lawnmower with his military hat on.
Yeah.
109 degrees.
Yeah, oh, forget it. I close up shop then. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.